Welcome to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is on helping you, the real estate investor, advance to the next level. And now let's join this week's hosts and share ways for you to customize your life.
We've only kind of come up a little bit in the last year, but we're starting to see markets increasing quite heavily, right? Even in January, just because we don't have a lot of product on the market. So we're getting a lot of interest in that respect. Tenants find it a little bit more affordable to be able to buy a house. If they're in that kind of a position that they can, then it works better for them. But our rents are actually getting higher and higher month by month. And in January, I don't expect to see them go higher, but it's kind of going higher now than it is in the summer.
And can you give us an idea of rent? Let's say a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, something simple. How much would that rent for? Just to give us kind of a basis point.
So there's kind of a difference with a brand new unit or an older unit. So if it was a brand new unit, a 2-bedroom, about $1,600 across the city is what you're looking at as a minimum rent. And then the basement will be about $1,000 if it's a brand new basement. If they're older, they rent for less, obviously. Plus, we include utilities are additional to the rent. So we will advertise it out as what the rents are, and then we add utilities to it. And most people are used to that here. They're okay with that. And a lot of our tenants also take care of the properties. They have to shovel snow, they have to do the lawn, or we'll get somebody in and then we charge them. So, and they're quite used to it, actually.
Yeah, that's great. So you work with, I'm assuming, a lot of investors, François being one of them as well. And, probably some out of town investors too, now that, there's a shortage everywhere and people are looking at, outside of their provinces even more. What are some maybe insights or tips that you can share, for someone looking, whether it's, in Alberta, but it could be somewhere else, somebody that's looking to buy out of province? Are there any like things that you could share with them to make it an easier process as they're looking to do that?
Just make sure the numbers are working, what you pay for it, what your mortgage is going to be. Make sure that your costs in are actually going to still give you some money out. And after I took that investment course, I did learn about having investments, and I bought a triplex in Northern Alberta, and I bought 2 condos in Saskatchewan. My triplex actually brought in $1,000 of cash flow, and my condos brought in $25 each, which didn't give me a lot of cash flow, but I didn't actually put anything into it. I took the money out. I put $5,000 down. I got $5,000 cash back. So it kind of worked out in that favor. So I had taken it all out, but you still have to be careful that make sure that you're making some money on every project you're working on, or what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so true. And are there better areas that you find for appreciation, like certain things that are going on? Of course, the whole city is much cheaper. Like you mentioned, rent $1,600 for a brand new 2-bed. In Ottawa, we'd be more like $2,600. And I'm sure where Sarah lives, way more than that. Like, how much is a 2-bed in the GTA? Like $3,200 maybe a month, or?
I mean, really, it depends on where it is, right?
Location.
Are we talking about Southeast Oakville?
Yeah.
Are we talking about, like, I don't know, somewhere up north Mississauga or Brampton? Like, it still depends. But yeah, I'm sure somewhere around that. It's getting quite high now.
I'm seeing that for houses, actually, in the rural suburbs, $2,600 plus utilities for an upper suite in a house. So these are the best of the best areas, best of the best places. There's 1,700 square foot houses with 3 bedrooms and, an ensuite bathroom in the master bedroom. They're kind of the higher end, but that's what I'm starting to see now. We haven't seen that for years.
Mm-hmm. What do you enjoy buying? Like, even just for yourself, like what kind of investing strategy are you, really looking to do?
My favorite is actually the single family home or duplex with a income suite in the basement. And the reason for that is they're so liquid. They're easy to get into. They're easy to get out of. If you have problems and you need to sell that quickly, it sells a lot faster than a fourplex would. It sells a lot faster than any multiplex would. So if I have my preference, I still like the single family homes with the suited duplex. I expect around $500 or $600 a month for income coming off of that after all my expenses.
Yeah, and that's true. And I mean, that shows the difference in market. Like in Ottawa, those are great, but they don't cash flow unless you go really high end or do something special. For the most part, they wouldn't cash flow anymore. And I'm sure in Oakville, maybe because your rent is higher. It's possible.
Oakville? Oh, you don't cash flow in Oakville.
Yeah. Yeah, $2 million for 2 suites, maybe 1 million each. Can't rent it at 10,000 each a month.
There are things you can do in a market that has tight rents. And something I did last year actually was I put a new flooring and new paint in a condo that was recently built. It was fairly new, but the floor wasn't looking that good. And put some new tenants in there, and they paid top dollar for it, $1,800 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in a building where they're typically renting around $1,600.
Wow, good job. So that was well worth investing in those finishes. And in Alberta, you have recourse. So you have, I guess, damages if something ges damaged. So you don't mind investing in your property.
Right.
I will say though, like, I mean, just to go back to like places like Oakville, and I have one in Burlington, I just made those like midterm rentals. Like people are they're furnished, they're midterm, not short term. I mean, once in a while I'll rent it for a week, but usually it's like, I've got somebody that checked in yesterday for like until May, and then somebody that's upstairs that's there until I think April or like mid-March or something. But like, it's just like, like I would do all midterm rentals if I could, because it brings in the majority of like the cash flow boost. And you know, in the portfolio, like those types of options. And then you don't have to worry about the landlord tenant rules.
Yes, that's a good thing.
But
that's a good thing. How do you find the turnover though? Do you have property managers or you do it yourself?
I do it myself. I have like some really good cleaners. I do some cottage stuff as well, but I have some really good cleaners and you know, handy people and all that good stuff. But you're, you know, even just like in terms of like the inventory resets, like you're not doing it as often because it's not like week in, week out type of thing like the cottages. But yeah, I don't know if I could do all midterm moving forward, I probably would. But how is that? Like, is that a strategy?
Good job.
Is that a strategy that's out in Alberta though?
It's not a really popular one. Most people go for either, you know, short-term Airbnb kind of thing, which is tougher and tougher every month we get into it because the laws keep changing and the rules keep changing. Or the midterm is pretty much non-existent. Like anybody looking for 3 or 6 months is just not able to do it unless they're willing to pay for an Airbnb, which is a little bit higher premium yet. So we don't have a lot of, there is a demand definitely for it, but we don't have a lot of it. But it is a definite way of getting better income or better cash flow from your property if that's what you're looking for.
So maybe it's something we should look at, Kim.
I actually think that, like, mark my words today on this podcast, the midterm rental is going to be the strategy of the next 5 years for many markets. Ontario is one of them. I can't speak for every single market, but the markets that have these tenant rules that don't make a whole lot of sense, and you can still do it on Airbnb. Like I do my midterms through Airbnb and then just discount for a monthly stay so that it makes sense for the people to stay rather than just like a daily rate. But I think that is a great next future, you know, key strategy.
And insurance companies aren't balking at the midterm rentals as much as, you know, an Airbnb style. And you also get under the wire with the cities and the approvals there. So that is a good strategy.
And I'm not an accountant, but the HST as well, and all the bylaws of the cities as well. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, like, I'm going to suggest that you guys all look into this new strategy. It's
not one that we dismiss, actually. It's just one that we do talk about it, and we do talk to other people about it. It depends on their strategies and what they're looking to do. It's tough to do when you're managing from afar because it's going to take a little bit more hands-on. It's going to need cleaning time more often and, you know, more tenant placement. So that's going to cost a little bit more as far as property management goes if you're trying to do that from
Yeah,
2 provinces over.
for sure. For sure. So what's next for you? Like, what are your goals in 2022, 2023 from your investing perspective?
I plan on buying my first house again. I had to hit reset a couple years back. And so I plan on buying my first house again, and I'm going to do some renos on it, and also looking at buying a suited house. So up in Edmonton, actually, for my sister.
Thanks for listening to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is on helping all levels of real estate investors advance to the next level and help you customize your life. Be sure to tune in next week at reiteclub.com/podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you get a few seconds, please rate the podcast wherever you're listening. It helps the show get noticed by others like you, and we truly appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe.